Okay guys, we are back in front of the computer and I am on Eurodyne's their web page here, and the DSG Performance Hub. This is where you buy just the tune when you already have the cable and the computer to do so and the software. But so it's not $500 first of all. No, that's ridiculous. It's I think it's $375 if you already have the power tap tool and the tune. So it's about $375. So let's just look at the description there. Let's see what they advertise here. For this transmission, the software, yep. Network cost is, yep. See if you already have the engine ECU performance software, cost is $375. So this is what they're advertising that their software does here. It optimizes the shift mapping. Now you can't change the shift, the ratios of the gears, obviously, because they're fixed gears. But you can kind of you can change when the transmission computer decides to shift. So that's what a lot of people's problems with this transmission are. Is it's so lackadaisical, and it doesn't want to rev out, obviously, for fuel economy. So I'm thinking this might change this. And so it's going to change a little bit when it shifts. So that's fantastic. And I'm hoping for that I can actually run the thing in sport mode without it just revving out and staying in the high RPMs. It's annoying. So hopefully that'll be great. The optimized shift mapping, the decreased shift times. I don't even know why they would even need to mess with that, because I mean it's the dual clutch. This thing's fantastic already. It shifts so fast. So if they can somehow even get it to shift faster, that's unreal. So whatever, that's fine. Raised torque limits, that's the big one. That even with my tune that I'm running now, it's still not allowing the maximum amount of torque. Even though I don't have the high torque tune, it's still cutting it down a little bit. So once it sees too much, I don't know what the number is, but once it sees too much torque, it's done. It pulls timing or it slips the clutches. I don't really remember or know, but so that's great. The raised torque limits, that'll allow me to install the high torque tunes, which is great. And the true manual mode that eliminates unwanted downshifts. Now this, I don't really run into much, because the only time it really does that, if you put the transmission into sport mode and then you click the shifter over, it locks it into manual mode. So that's fantastic. The only time it won't lock it in is if you push the throttle all the way down to the floor and then there's a kickdown pedal. And if you hit that kickdown switch, then it will, no matter where you are, it'll downshift to the lowest gear and get you up and going as fast as possible. So I normally don't hit that kickdown switch anyway. Normally because it takes quite a bit of force to press the pedal all the way down to the floor and then push through that switch. So normally when I'm driving, I just get into it to that switch, because it's pretty easy to floor it without clicking into the switch. So I don't run into that problem too much. Gear display on the dashboard. This is something that's kind of nice, so that when I'll see when I implement it and actually install the tune, I will see. But the way it makes it sound, and I've seen, is that when you're in when you're just in normal mode driving around in automatic mode, it'll show you, even when it's driving in automatic mode, it'll show the shifts as they happen, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 6. As it's shifting through this, it'll show you in the display, where it normally just says drive, reverse, park, neutral. It'll actually say what gear it's in. So that's kind of cool. The increased clutch clamping pressures, that's more for power. It's going to clamp those clutches down harder. So this is where I'm not sure how it's going to be, if drivability is going to be compromised a little bit with taking off from stop signs and stuff like that. If it's going to increase the clamping pressure on those clutches and it's just going to grab harder, I'm not sure, so we'll find out. And the more aggressive launch control settings. Now this I'm not sure about. I barely ever use launch control. I don't know how anybody does when your GTI is tuned, because it's pushing so much torque and horsepower to those front tires. So it's okay, great, but I barely ever use it because it's just a spinning tire fest. It's ridiculous. So I don't really use it much, but that's great if it offers more launch control aggressive settings. So that's fantastic. So those are the bullet points that they list on the website here for things that this tune does. So I'm gonna go out and I will, I said I was going to do a quick drive just under normal settings to get a feel for what the old tune is like. And then once I flash the new one, I'm also gonna record a little bit of just driving around to give you guys the feel of if you were gonna do this DSG tune, what it kind of feels like when it shifts, how it moves, you know, how the car moves, how taking off from stop signs. And so I'll make a video about that too. This will probably be a couple video series here. So I'm gonna go, now that I walked you around the car, showed you the new tires and stuff like that, and then just went through the tune itself on DSG's website. I'll probably go flash it here, and then I'll make a video first drive of how it feels, how the power feels, and then we will pick up from there. I just got done. It took quite a long time, but I just got done loading up the DSG tune and the high torque tune, stage 2. So there was 2 options to pick from the DSG tunes. There was a stage 1 and a stage 2. I didn't really know which one to pick, so I picked the stage 2. And while it was flashing it, I kind of went online and looked around in different forums to see what the difference was. And from a few people that had, this is again like, I heard this from this person, but a couple of people said that they had heard from Eurodyne people that the stage 2 is more geared for the bigger turbo people, like upgraded turbos and stuff like that. It could, because it raises the red line before it shifts to like 7,000, 7,500, something like that. And it has a little bit more clamping force and stuff like that to deal with higher output, engines that have bigger turbos and things like that. I didn't know that at the time, so I just went ahead and flashed the stage 2. So at any time, I'm just going to take it for a drive and see what it feels like. Apparently the stage 2 can be a bit more aggressive in when it downshifts and upshifts and stuff like that. So some people like it, some people don't. Some people say that the stage 1 is a little bit more geared for a daily driver with some bolt-on mods, like mine does, has minor bolt-ons. But so after I drive this around on the stage 2, I might go ahead and flash it back to stage 1, and then I'll check back with any differences. But I just got done with doing both of those, the stage 2 high torque, and the stage 2 DSG. So I just got done flashing it, just fired up the car, and I don't know how well this is going to go, because it normally takes a certain amount of miles before the new tune settles down for the engine and with the transmission tune. So we'll see what happens with that, but we're just going to go on a drive and see if I can tell any difference here. What the shifting points feel like and things like that. So buckle up here and throw it. All right, and we're back. Hey, reverse works. Good, it's a good thing. All right. Yep. See, and I did shift into drive, and it says drive 1. So that before when you looked on the website, that was one of the features where it always shows you what gear you're in, even in automatic mode. So I'm in drive. I'm going to check, and I'm in normal mode here. Again, shifting real soon. Nothing different about that yet. Just taking off though. I'm going to see if I notice any difference here. See, it did, right there, it did stay in second gear a little bit longer before it shifted. It went a little over 2,000. But again, that could be just the transmission learning things. Just from those two, I can tell it does rev out a little bit longer. just from that, you know, about 30 to 40% throttle run, I'm not noticing much of a difference. It seems to be holding the gears a little longer, just a little bit, and it did seem, and I don't know which part of this is the tune to the transmission or the engine, but it did seem to pick up a little more boost with a little bit lighter throttle, which is really nice, because, yeah, see here, there it would have shifted, and it's still kind of hanging on to fourth, and there's fifth. Okay, all right, I kind of like that so far. So what I was saying is it does seem to be making boost a little easier, as before with a factory tune on it. Once you would get driving to a certain speed, you know, mid throttle, second, third, fourth gear, and then you'd kind of have to get into it, but get into it without it downshifting. Normally we would have to get into it and then wait a little bit for it to build some boost without it downshifting. Well, that time I got into it a little bit, not enough for it to downshift, but it did build boost way faster. Like the response was way better. And again, that could be part of that high torque tune that I put on. So you see, it's a little tough knowing which part is the transmission tune and which part is the high torque tune. So I probably should have done one at a time, but it's just kind of a nice thing to do at the same time, because they complement each other very well. Nope, somebody didn't go. Somebody was pissed. So we're just gonna sit here, and I'm gonna take it out a couple stoplights now, and then once we get out of town a little bit, there's some roads where I can kind of cruise on and get a feel for what the cruise is. So even just setting off there a little bit of throttle, there is more torque right off the bat, which is really nice. And I did notice from that stoplight and the first couple stop signs back there that when I let, oh yep, see, it's huh. Yeah, see right here, we're in fourth gear, a little over 2,200 RPM, and it's not shifting down yet. Huh. See, now this is where, see, I'm under the opinion that, see, I'm in regular mode, so it should be kind of good look. I would like it to look for fuel economy, but some of this will take some getting used to too. But what I was saying is, back at that stoplight and the other couple stop signs, when I let off the brake to leave from a stop sign in there, I noticed that the clutch engagement was faster. You were going from off the brake and rolling to in gear faster and more abruptly, which is kind of nice, because it tries, before with the old transmission tune, it tried to go nicely and smoothly, so you would let off the brake a lot of times and then you would feel it kind of engage into first gear slowly, like more of a traditional manual transmission where you would let off the clutch slowly. Oh, see, that was a little higher RPMs. See, in regular mode it seems to be revving out more. So we're hitting about 3,000 there on about 30% throttle. And keep in mind, I haven't put it into sport mode at all yet. I'm still in regular mode just to see what the regular drivability is. And like I said before, we don't know if it will probably settle down in either way as the transmission. Once you flash it, it takes some miles for it to settle down and recalibrate and stuff like that. So far, yeah, now I'm in fifth gear. See, this is where, again, where I'm cruising in just about 50 miles an hour in fifth gear, and it would, before, it for sure have went into sixth gear by now, and it would have been in sixth gear for a while. Now it's holding fifth gear just below 2,000 RPM, which is I kind of like that, because how much fuel are you going to save being at, what, like 1,400 RPMs now versus 1,800? And before, if it was in sixth gear, I would have to, if you need to speed up, you got nothing in sixth, so it would have to shift a lot. But I kind of like that. It stayed in fifth during that whole time, which is kind of neat. Okay, we're going to turn left here, third gear. Yep, and it is showing in the infotainment every gear that goes on, which is kind of nice. Of course, this is one of these things where I can't see traffic coming left or right. Great place to put a stop sign when you have to pull out halfway into the road to see anybody. Okay, so this, I'm going to give it maybe 50% off of this stop sign here. So there's about 50. There's a lot. I can feel the big difference didn't rev it out, which I don't know how to think about that, because I got into it probably 50%, and normally on the old tune, when you would do that, it would see, okay, he's giving it quite a bit of gas here, let's rev it out a little higher. And that didn't. That only revved it out to maybe $4,000, a little under 4,000, and it kept it in that power band. So it kept it, and that's where this car makes a ton of torque and stuff. So it kept it in that torque band. So I kind of like that, where I didn't floor it, so it didn't need to rev it out, but I wasn't putzing it, which I kind of like here. So we'll do another maybe 30 to 40%. Let's go 40. Broke them loose a little bit. See, it is shifting fast. Torque steer now. Before, this car would never torque steer, ever. And right there, I noticed it kind of wanted to pull the wheel to the right a little bit, so it looks like we did add quite a bit of torque from that tune, because it never used to torque steer, and it just did for the first time. So I don't know if you can see it on video, but I felt it. It pulled the wheel a little bit to the right. So, and that was, again, maybe 40% throttle. Wow. I mean, I'm really surprised. It picked up a lot of torque. So let's see now, yep, it did go into 6th gear. We're at about 55 miles an hour. So I'm at about maybe 20%, 15% throttle. So I'm gonna slowly get into it now and see how long it takes to kick down a gear or two. Like, let's say I just wanna well, that wouldn't be passing somebody, but just kinda I need a little bit more torque. So I'm gonna start going down a little bit at a time. There's one gear. 2 gears there. So I was at about 15 to 20% throttle, and I got down to about 40 or 50. So it got it was kind of surprising how long it took to kick down a gear, but it has so much torque now. That had way more torque than it ever has in 6th gear. So it didn't really have to kick down a gear, which is kind of surprising. So yeah, a lot to think about here. Sorry if I'm spitting a lot of crap at the camera here, but there's a lot going on here, a lot changing with the car, with how the transmission is shifting, to how much torque the engine's putting out, to, you know, a lot of different things going on here, and it's all catching me by surprise a little bit. So I'm still in 5th gear here. It hasn't downshifted. So depending on what this truck is going to do, I may try to. We're still in normal mode, still in kind of its economical mode, but I'm really liking how this feels in normal mode. It almost feels like the throttle response was in the old tune on sport mode. So it's like I have it in sport mode, but I don't right now, which is kind of nice. So I'm gonna take a right here, and then I'm gonna kinda, after I straighten it out, I'm gonna get on it a little bit here. I'm gonna go maybe 60, 70%. There's about 80%. So I didn't have it buried. I hit about 80 to 85%, and I didn't hit the kickdown switch right there, and it revved out to 6,500. So, and I could definitely feel, now that that high torque tune is on there, I could definitely feel it kind of fall off after about $6,000. So again, that's probably what that stage 2 tune that's on here right now is geared towards bigger turbos that have more power up top. So that's why I may need to change to the stage 1, because I still have the factory, the stock turbo on here. So that may be something I need to change. But overall, see, this is where I don't know, because now I'm doing 60. Now I'm doing 16 cruising just on the back road, and it's still in 5th gear, which is kind of weird. So let's go back to. So I'm wondering, how fast do you have to go to get it to go down to 6th gear? So let's. Oh, now we're reaching some turns here. So okay, we're in 5th. Got it to kick down to 5th. Oh, it went down to 6th real fast now. Huh. So it seems to be a little picky on when it wants to go to 6, which is nice, because it's more of a sporty feel, but we're not in sport mode. We're in regular, everyday lackadaisical fuel efficiency mode. So I don't know what that's gonna mean. So we're in 5th now. They're about 62. It went down to 5th. So I'm gonna find a place to turn around here. It seems to be, and see, it's downshifting on its own a little higher, so you can actually, normally in regular mode you couldn't tell when it would downshift as you got to a stop, because it just kind of would let it go so low you wouldn't even feel it. But there, I kind of did feel it. It was around 2,000 where it downshifted on its own. So let's go. Let's go. This is just before the kickdown. Yeah, see, I kind of let off there because it's not so I kind of let off there because I was at the kickdown switch and it was just gonna rev its balls off right there, and I don't need that because I can feel the torque kind of going down, so I don't need it to do that. So I kind of let up at the end there, but that was right to the kickdown switch, and it a lot more torque I'm noticing. So there are some things I'm gonna have to get used to. I'm gonna daily driver but obviously this is my daily driver. But so there are some things it's gonna take some reprogramming with the right foot to get the feeling down here. Like right now, see, right now we're in 5th gear, and I'm doing 55. You know, normal cruise. I think it should be in 6th right now because I'm not in sport mode. I'm in regular mode. It should be in 6th right now. Let's see how, if I slowly speed up, how fast before, see, I'll stop at about 58 miles an hour here and hold the throttle. Still nothing. Okay, let's go up to 60 and hold the throttle. Still nothing. Okay, let's go to 62. There it is. Yep, so 62 miles per hour is when it's going to just go into fuel efficiency mode. And it's going to kick down to that 6th gear, which makes sense because I guess the people who tune this are in Canada, and 62 miles an hour is, you know, I don't know. There's 100 kilometers there, I don't know, so maybe that's what it is. But let's see, now let's see how slow, if I let up on the gas, how slow it takes before it kicks down to 5th. So there's 54. Nope, still not happening. 50. Let's stop at 50 and then kind of hold the throttle. Nope, still there. Okay, shoot, stop sign coming up. Gonna have to stop here, but okay, so 62 miles an hour it'll shift, which is fine, I suppose, if you like to cruise above 62. But a lot of times if I'm just on a back road like that and cruising, it's usually maybe under 62 because I'm kind of a grandpa when I'm not ripping. It's got a lot more torque. Yep, you can feel once you get into that throttle, man. You can feel it. It picked up some big torque, so they aren't lying when you said it was a high torque file. So, all right. So I'm gonna go into sport mode then here now. Let's go into sport mode and see what this is like. Sport mode. One of the features of the tune, like you saw on the website, was that you can hit that kickdown switch and it shouldn't take it out of, well, shoot, it's in sport mode, so never mind. But if I were to click this over and hold it in 4th gear with the paddles, and I hit that kickdown switch, that shouldn't automatically kick the gearbox down 1 gear. So let's find out. I'll go to the switch. Yep. Wow. Holy cow. I can't believe that. Wow! That was a 4th gear pull. Holy smokes! Wow! I can't believe it had that much pull. Normally, before this tune, I would do that 4th gear pull, and you know, I was in the boost range. I was in like 3,500 RPM. Still, it would hit, but not that hard. Holy balls! That for a 4th gear roll like that, That hit hard and it pulled. Wow. Holy cow, I'm taking, whoa, geez, that took me by surprise. That is a lot more power than was on there. Holy shit. Okay, so let's see, it's holding fourth gear. I put it back into the manual sport, or the automatic sport mode. There's the downshift. And we're gonna see from this stop sign, here what it's like keeping it in the automatic sport mode of things. All right, so we'll turn here. Steering's firmed up. Okay, let's go about 50%. That's a good shift point. That's a little higher than I would like it, but that was about 50%. And it surprisingly shifted pretty fast. It didn't rev it out, which I like. It was about 5,500 right when the torque is right there, so that was a good shift. I like that. And it is keeping it in fourth gear downshifted. You heard it. Man, but there is just so much torque in this thing. Holy, I can't believe how much. That was fifth gear I was in right there, and it was pulling really well. Wow. I mean, I am really surprised at just the torque this thing picked up. Wow. But, you know, just like before, I'm in sport mode and it's gonna hold the gears. Let's see, let's get to that 62 mark and see what it does in sport mode. Okay, let's get to 62. There's 62. 63, nothing. It's not shifting. So it's going to hold fourth here for how long, though, I wonder? So let's get up to like 70. Kind of hold it. No, it's not. No, so it's not going to shift. So I'm going to turn here pretty quick. And then, so I'm going to try, we're going to go back and I'm going to try paddles. So we tried the automatic normal mode. We tried the sport mode in automatic. So let's try let's stay in sport mode here. Let's stay in sport mode and let's use the paddles. But let's test some of the clutch takeoff. So I'm gonna stop and let off the brake right now. That's a pretty, it engaged pretty quick, a lot faster than it would. Stop here again, and then, I'm gonna go. Oh, yep, see, there was a little slip. So that's always the hard part with these DSG transmissions, is slowing down like this and then going, I'm gonna go, and it'll take a little bit to kick in. But that's just the nature of the beast. So, all right, let's go into manual mode here, hit first. I mean, this will, if I hit it in first, I'm gonna shred them, so let's go second gear pull here. Second gear, straight, now let's go. Torque hit. There was a little. Wow. Yep. So you can definitely feel now that torque drop off. So I remember seeing something that said that the high torque tunes are for people who just want the maximum horsepower and torque that this is going to put out. I mean, aside from it, you know, aside from a dyno tune with a specific, you know, individual tune for your car, this is gonna get you near the max, and it's not gonna take into account drivability and stuff like that. So the old tune I had, it wasn't a high torque, so it was much more linear. The power didn't drop off and it revved all the way to redline, real nice. You can tell this one is more hardcore. So it hits you with all the boost that it can for the timing and gas and stuff that you have. And you can feel it drop off now. I actually just got an email from the Eurodyne people. I emailed them a couple hours ago asking about it. And his email says it's for customers with larger turbos and raised red lines. So I may have to, I'll probably try going down to the stage 1 just to see what it's like. But man, I back to what I was saying about the tune. Now you can definitely feel all of that torque. You're getting all the torque, and it's gonna drop off when it's just gonna drop off because of the turbo size. It's just gonna happen now. It's not gonna be masked by less power and then allowing it to feel smoother. It's hitting you with everything, and that's it. So as far as the upshift, that didn't feel much faster. So as far as the shifting, it doesn't feel much faster. See, I'm all over the place, but still. It doesn't, see, as far as the downshifts, they were always super fast, so not much difference there. Man, but that torque right there is insane. Wow. I can't believe the torque change is pretty crazy with this thing. Yep, so I will probably flash back down to the stage 1 DSG just to stop it from revving out that much. I don't need that to happen. Yeah, I don't see what that would do, so man, that torque is a bit, I expected a good chunky bit of torque to show up now, you know, a good meaty bit of torque, but man, I wasn't expecting that much torque. Wow. Really impressed so far. So I'll drive this for maybe a week or two here, and I'll try to make a quicker video. I know I just like to talk, you know. If you're going to be dropping the money for this, for the tune and the DSG tune, I know if I was dropping the money, I would have liked somebody to drive around with it for an extended video, not super long, but just an extended video, and just talk about what they're feeling, what the difference is, and just seeing the day-to-day driving differences it makes. It's still in sport mode, that's why I'm doing it. See, that's what I would want, so that's why I'm kind of making this, you know, I know the video is going to be super long and boring, but hey, it's not hard to jump around in the video. Breaking news, there's a scrubber tool, you scrub wherever you want to go. But it's a lot of money for this tune, 375 bucks on top of, you know, how much I paid for the tune, the engine tunes. So I feel like if somebody wanted to drop that kind of money, they would want to see is this worth the money, and that's why I kind of, you know, make these just videos of everything I'm feeling when I'm driving it, if I think it's a big difference or not, and all the nuanced little things that go on during a normal drive with slowing down, speeding up, you know, like I was doing when I was slowing down, putting the brake in so that the clutch disengages and letting off real quick while I was still rolling to kind of confuse it, but did pretty good there. But see, coming off of a stoplight here, stop sign, it engages, seems a little faster than before, which is nice. So after I drive this for a few weeks and it gets the tune a chance to settle down, I'll flash over the stage 1 to the stage 1, and then I'll update you on any differences with the stage 1 and how it's settled down and what kind of gas mileage I'm getting and things like that. But this was just a first drive, just raw impressions of what the difference is with the high torque tune stage 2, 93 octane, and the differences in the DSG tune. So that's basically what this video is for. Anybody looking for those, or looking to pair those two tunes up, or looking to get both of them at the same time. You know, on a relatively stock GTI, all I have is a downpipe and a K&N filter and a little bit more airflow going into the box because I dremeled out some holes. But so that's what I got going on. So I will check back with you probably in a couple weeks or so.